All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the Tim Conway Jr. Show live on 97.1 FM Talk. Paul Duttridge from England is doing a film about races.
Paul, why don't you talk about yourself and tell people what you're doing?
We are devising a mini Olympics.
Right.
And we're going to get teams to compete against each other, but instead of like the Olympics with the nationalities, we're doing it teams divided by race.
So you got the black guys, the white guys, Hispanic, Asian,
Yeah, how many
Samoan.
races?
If it was a nationality, it'd be like 193 nationalities.
Right.
Race, we're getting scientists telling us there's one race, so there'd be like one team, which is a bit of a lousy competition, or an infinite number, which is obviously a minefield to organise.
In the actual Olympic Games, the teams are decided by nationality. Now, in our version of the Games, we're dividing the teams by race. So I think the first question that we have to answer is, what is a race?
In a way, there's no possibility of answering the question.
There really is no agreed upon understanding of what race means. There's the scientific understanding of race.
A race is a legitimate biological category. It's a subdivision below the species.
We also have a much more of a sociological concept of race.
Race is a social construct based on political and economic interests.
It's bound up with language.
I'm a linguist, and so when I think of race, I often think of race through a linguistic lens. Hello, I'm calling about the apartment you have advertised in the paper. I can speak with a Spanish accent as well, and I can say, hello, I'm calling about the apartment you have advertised in the paper. Or if I would modify my speech, I call and say, hello, I'm calling about the apartment you have advertised in the paper.
Skin color.
Sort of your standard Ethiopian looks a little bit like an Arab and a little bit like the Africans to the south.
Everyone on the planet is in varying degrees multiracial in terms of their ancestry.
A little bit like the other Africans to the east and west, because there's been a bit of gene swapping between those populations.
I have been able to trace my connection to Muhammad, and some people would say, oh, how can that be? It's like, well, I can show you. If we had the time, I'll show you the genealogical connection.
You're going to have a challenge ahead of you.
If we're going to organise this mini Olympics, we're going to need to know how many teams are attending, if only so that we know how many lanes wide the running tracks have to be. How many races are there?
Some will tell you there are no races whatsoever.
I don't think that there is, in fact, race.
And others will tell you,
Biologically speaking, we're all one race.
The Quran says they have been divided into 12 tribes.
I really can't answer that question.
so you can pick your number, and you'll probably be right according to somebody.
Now we're 6,000 miles away from home. Frankly, we don't have a clue what we're doing. It doesn't seem quite so funny anymore. You know we haven't got a chance of pulling this off, don't we?
I think that the inability to have a conversation about race is one of the greatest social problems the United States has. If we cannot talk about race, we will never become truly a society that is democratic and is based upon the principle of equal rights for people until we have succeeded in having the conversation. Nothing could be more important.